jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again.
You know what the first thing I noticed since Mark Carney stole his majority? He stacked the committees when he said he wasn't going to do it, but then he stacked the committees anyway. And then the committees went with no camera and a ban of discussing anything that happened during the meeting, no transcripts for 30 years. And the second thing that I noticed is mainstream media, now that Mark Carney secured his majority, are actually reporting some real news. Because they know now that Mark Carney and his government has the power of a king, and there's no risk of the Liberal government falling now that they got their majority. They're trying to get some of that credibility back. What we're seeing in Canada is unbelievable. Isn't this fun, Canada? And I just discovered something that nobody is reporting on. You know those 49,000 Chinese EVs that are coming into Canada? There is a zero label requirements. That means Canadians could be purchasing a Chinese EV and they don't even know about it. If you like freedom, smash that like button, share this video with everybody you know, because without you guys sharing the video, it's not getting distributed at all. Let's get into this report.
Now that you're back, what will you be doing to help Canada?
I'm leaving on a jet plane.
I'm leaving for a jet plane. How many days does Mark Carney actually spend in Canada as opposed to abroad or on a private jet? We all know that he's only spent 29% of his time in the House of Commons, and now soon to be even less because he's not in town anymore. He's going overseas to a European summit discussing oil and gas corridor on the other side of the planet. Pipelines in Canada? Oh no, not gonna happen. But on the other side of the planet, oh yeah. Pipelines for other countries. Here, not a chance. How much CO2 has Mark Carney emitted over the last 12 months alone? I guarantee it. He's burned more CO2 in the last 12 months than the average Canadian burns over their entire lifetime. But remember, you are the problem. Him flying around the planet. He's saving the planet, remember? You are the problem. You know, every time he goes on these flights, these private jets, it's filled with caviar, steak, the finest of wines. Oh, and some of that bubbly, $100,000 every time it goes on that plane worth of food. Just food. Imagine the jet fuel. How much jet fuel does it cost to go all the way to the other side of the planet and back? So this trip alone will be a full circle of the planet. We have an exciting day today. Raquel Dancho is taking on Melanie Joly in committee to answer conservative questions about the Liberal government's EV strategy. This one's gonna be popcorn ready moment. I'm gonna be eating my popcorn, watching these two women go at it. Raquel Dancho is very smart. She is on point. We know Melanie Joly is gonna struggle in this one. So my question to you is, what is the likelihood of the cameras being turned off on this one and a 30-year ban from the transcripts? Leave a comment in the comment section. Hopefully we get to see this one, and I cannot wait to report on this committee. Now, this is absolutely insane. Did you know that you could be purchasing a Chinese EV and not even know it? We all thought it would be BYD cars coming into Canada. So right away you go, BYD, that's Chinese. I'm not buying one of those spy machines. But what if I told you Teslas, Volvos, and Polestar, all of them are assembled, made in China, and could be coming to Canada at $24,500 over the next 3 months. They could already be here, and another $24,500 by the end of this year. But did you know that they could be already in circulation and you would have no idea it's a Chinese car? So I asked Grok AI saying, if I go and I purchase a car, would I even know if it came from China or not? And it says right here at the top, no. What do you mean no? It says no. In Canada, there is no federal requirement equivalent to the United States Automobile Labeling AALA that forces auto dealers to display a specific label disclosing the country of final assembly. Made in China on new vehicles will not be displayed. So key details in Canada, compliance labels. So the Canadian Motor Vehicle Safety Regulation, new vehicles must have bilingual compliance labels for national safety purposes, showing manufacturer, date of manufacture, the VIN number, vehicle type. This confirms that it meets motor vehicle safety standards, but it does not require final disclosure of assembly country or parts content breakdown. What? That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's no mandatory country of origin sticker. Unlike the United States window sticker, in Canada, we don't have that requirement label like the United States. Can you believe this, Canada? So their vehicles that they're going to be flooding Canada, you will not even know if it was made in China. But there's more. I don't want to leave you hanging here. I want you to be safe. If you're looking for a new vehicle, let's move on to the next one. How do you find out the origin? The VIN number. So it says right here, country of origin manufacturer. A 1, 4, or 5 is US, 2 in Canada, and L for China in many cases. Check the VIN number and on the dashboard or the door jamb. I've looked at VIN numbers and they all have 2 and 4 and 5 and L, so I don't know how accurate this is. Now the next one, manufacturer info. Many brands voluntarily provide build details on their website, but Tesla is in the United States. They also have a factory in China. For Chinese-made vehicles, certain Tesla, Polestar, and Volvos, or emerging brands like BYD, this info is usually available if you ask. Let's talk about general consumer protection from the dealers. So if you see here, dealers cannot make false, misleading statements about the vehicle, including origin, under Competitive Act and provincial laws. In the province of Ontario, dealers have a mandatory written disclosure for things like odometer reading, damage history, prior use, but not country of assembly for new vehicles. If asked directly, the dealer must answer honestly. Will the dealer honestly answer the question? Imagine you have a new staff or somebody that doesn't know much about anything. Do you think they're going to be able to read a VIN number? Do you think they're going to know where the car even came from? If it doesn't have any labels or anything telling it where it came from, do you think they are going to be competent enough to be able to tell you where it's from? They're going to plead ignorance, guaranteed. That's just my opinion. They might know where it came from, but I think there'll be some ignorance here. That's my opinion. What's some of this practical advice it's giving? Ask the dealer for the build location or check the manufacturer's specs. With more Chinese-made EVs potentially entering Canada under recent trade adjustments, transparency is common but not legally mandated on the vehicle itself. This is something they have to fix immediately. If they're going to allow these vehicles into Canada, there needs to be mandatory labeling of all Chinese cars that comes in. As it is right now, you will have zero idea. I'm in shock right now. For used cars, there's even less disclosure is required. Focus on vehicle history reports and provincial used vehicle rules. So if you're buying a used car, there's basically no way in telling. It says here, vehicles imported in Canada must meet CMVSS. Origins is handed via customs, but not predominantly labeled for retail buyers. Final thought here. If something feels misleading, contact your provincial consumer protection office, motor vehicle dealer regulator, or the Competition Bureau. For the most accurate information on spec models, request details from the manufacturer or dealer in writing before buying. So I think the last sentence, if you're going to be buying a new vehicle, get it in writing that it is a Canadian or American made vehicle. You need it in writing. This is a warning. Share this with everybody you know. If somebody's buying a vehicle in your household, let them know they need to find out in writing if it's a Chinese vehicle or not. And here's something that probably nobody is thinking of. The United States said they're not going to allow any Chinese EVs into the United States. It's a full stop. You're going to get turned around at the border. But if there's 0 labels on these cars, they will have no idea. And once they get whiff of this, they're going to be rejecting all Teslas, all Volvos, all Polestar vehicles. They're going to be like, you know what? Full stop. What if they say, you know what? We're not going to allow any Canadian cars that are EV across the border because we don't know if it was made in China or not, because there's 0 labels, as if they're going to be able to go and look at the VIN number. They all look the same. Like I told you, there could be an L, there could be anything. I went on my VIN, there's an X, Z, there's all these different numbers. There will be no way for them to be able to tell if it was a Chinese made EV. Have they even thought about this? This is where this whole thing is going. And once these vehicles are inside Canada, there's no going back, Canada. If they don't put these labels on now, before the 49,000, then rising up to 75,000 per year with 0 labels, they're going to be in our economy and we will have 0 idea. And if you go for rebuy, you're going to be rebuying a vehicle. And yes, there is no requirement you won't know what you're getting. Can the Liberals do anything correct? Is there anything that they do that is correct? This is an honest question. It seems like everything they touch turns into caca. Now let's talk about this poll that just came out. Yes, this poll just came out showing 216 seats for the Liberals and 96 for the Conservatives, essentially wiping the Conservatives off the map. Imagine living in a country where results don't matter, broken promises guaranteed, prosperity completely squandered, media captured. Like our media is completely captured. Committees shut down. 30-year ban on discussing any of the information. Transcripts are all ripped up. You're never going to see those. A majority straight up stolen from the voters. Yet the entire country votes for more of this. Like, this whole thing does not make any sense. And all I have to say is welcome to Canada. Either there's something seriously wrong with the polling data, or there's something seriously wrong with Canadians. 11 straight years of Canada's decline was clearly not enough. Canadians need a whole lot more pain in order to wake up. So when the Liberal government says something or claims something, expect the absolute opposite, like making life more affordable. It has gone way worse just in the last year. Have you seen the price of gasoline? In Vancouver today, it was $2.22 a liter. This is after their 10 cents off. Good thing they gave us 10 cents off, or it'd be closer to $2.50 right now. Building at speeds never seen before in our lifetime. Unimaginable speeds. They've built nothing. They have nothing to show for what they've done. Making Canada a safer place to live. Crime has only risen. It's like on a daily basis, there's 10 more things to report on in the crime file. Making a deal with the United States, the best deal. We are going to get the absolute best deal Mark Carney campaigned on. Not only is there no negotiations, for the last 5 months, we found out they haven't been talking at all. And then when they got caught, they formulated this massive group of people to go down to the United States. I would say the more the people, the more complicated it's going to get, because there's competing voices. It's almost as if they're sabotaging the entire process. Bringing down the deficit. We were promised to get things under control, right? With an economist, a genius economist, a math magician. that's going to be able to balance the book. It's only going to go up in the next 3 or 4 years. We're going to be paying $80 billion per year just servicing the debt service cost. You know, every single time you pay taxes when you buy something, all that money goes towards servicing the debt. It doesn't go to doctors, new schools. It doesn't go to new roads. It just goes to servicing the debt. You know, it's $52 billion, the health transfer payments. When it goes up to $80 billion, that's almost 2 times all the healthcare transfer payments. This is out of control. Oh yeah, and let's not forget about making Canada an energy superpower. Not one single pipeline has even started. They're talking about maybe we'll get a pipeline, maybe not we'll get a pipeline. It's been an entire year and we are still talking about maybe a pipeline is in the future. By the time Mark Carney's term is up, we might still be at maybe. Building affordable homes at levels not seen since World War II. They've completed only 10 homes in Canada so far. Using their majority with humility, the first thing they do is stack committees and shut off the cameras. So we have no idea what they're talking about. That's how transparent and honest this government is. And creating good paying jobs. We're losing jobs so fast. We haven't seen this many jobs lost. We lost like 110,000 jobs in 2 months. 2 months. Things are not on the right track. We could just go on and on. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. What else did I miss in my list? It's unbelievable, isn't it? And who could forget Pierre Poilievre's reaction to the reporters asking, pipelines. What do you think about pipelines?
Prime Minister said that a new pipeline is more probable than possible. How optimistic are you that this will happen?
More probable than possible. He said he was going to approve projects at speeds not seen in generations. He's been Prime Minister for a year, and he still hasn't even made up his mind whether he supports a pipeline. There's no permit, there's no route, there's no start date, no completion date, no starting point, no end point, and not even a decision by the Prime Minister whether he wants a pipeline at all. And he's wasted an entire year. A pipeline to the Pacific would move $30 billion of oil every year. So why is Mark Carney still blocking it? It needs only one thing, for Mark Carney to get out of the way.
With Canada's standard of living falling over the last decade, and now we have all of these headwinds. US trade is in question. We're so desperate. We're forming economic ties with China, and Mark Carney refuses to release the details of what he signed with China with the New World. You know what? And we're hemorrhaging jobs. And all we have to do is get out of the way. That's right. It's that simple. Yet the Liberals refuse to do anything to help the common Canadian. Remember at the beginning of the video, I said, mainstream media is finally reporting the truth. It's because the Liberals have finally secured their majority, so there's no risk of them falling. This is what Canadians, even the elbows up Canadians, are viewing on mainstream media today.
It didn't take long for the federal government to make full use of its new powers as a majority government this week. Since then, they've been criticized multiple times for forcing debate at various committees behind closed doors.
They stopped transcribing the remarks and the public and the media are kicked out of the room. That is not a way to run a government, by hiding facts and information from the Canadian people.
You know, in-camera conversations do have their place for national security matters, for sensitive testimonies, but in this case, it was used to shut down conversation around a $300 million boondoggle. If a CEO of a private sector company oversaw a failed $300 million program and then showed up unable to answer for where the money went, they would be fired. And in this case, those conversations were brought into a back room, so Canadians don't have answers about where that money went. For those who are hoping that the Carney government would be different from the Trudeau government, that within days of getting this majority, they're already rolling back transparency and accountability.
You know, all I have to say is there's 2 by-elections this summer. And if the Liberals lose both those by-elections, and we need to be pushing hard as a community, as Canadians, making sure that the Conservatives win North Van and Nate's riding in Ontario, that one needs to go to, hopefully Avi Lewis runs. Because if Avi Lewis runs in that, the NDP could actually win that one. So the Conservatives need to throw every single dollar that they have for the North Vancouver one, because if the Liberals lose those 2 seats, we're back down to a minority. And hopefully over the summer, Canadians wake up. Wake up. We are falling down a cliff right now. Look what they're doing. There's zero accountability. We are not doing okay in Canada. And then in the fall, there's a non-confidence vote. And we vote for change. And we save this country. Get back to freedom and common sense and prosperity, so we could enjoy this country and give it off to our children with a better life for everyone. How hard is this? Sorry, I had to rant there. That's it for today's report. If you're buying an EV, check and make sure it's made in Canada or the United States. Hopefully, they know what they're doing. We need to demand mandatory labeling. And don't stress too much, Canada. It's not over. We're going to continue to wake up the masses. Share this content with every single person that you know. There are 2 by-elections this summer, and when they occur, we're going to win those ones. And when we do, we're going to have a non-confidence vote in the fall, and we're going to take back control of this country. I'll see you on the next report.
Now that you're back, what will you be doing to help Canada?
I'm leaving on a jet plane.